2, this week on a special edition of The Big Show, the Rolling Stone magazine released an updated list of the 500 top albums of all time. And this third version of the list featured plenty of controversy and controversial choices. We've invited several music professionals to discuss the list. And over the course of the next hour, we'll discuss not only the list, but which picks are too high, too low, or those not included. Joining me today are veteran radio programmers Maxx Myrick, Dave Dickinson, Julian Lytle, and of course, just Charles and I. We'll have this and more on the latest edition of Keeping It Real with FilmGordon. Let's go. All right, welcome to the latest episode of Keeping It Real with FilmGordon, the home edition and the longer version. I'm joined here today by a murderer's row of huge musical minds, and these are brothers that I have worked with. Julian is probably the only one who in the game I haven't worked with, but Maxx Myrick is 40 years in the game. Dave, are you 30 yet? Or you?
Yeah, I'm 30.
You 30 in the game. Julian is holding on to about 5. So Julian is like the infant of our music group, but I wanted him here because Julian's mind with hip hop is super, super sharp. And then of course there are film aficionados and music heads, Charles Kirkland and I. Gentlemen, welcome to Keeping It Real with FilmGordon.
Good to be here.
All right, man. So let's get right into it, man. Rolling Stone released their list earlier this week. And I was stunned. I got Charles on the phone immediately and we were like, huh? What has happened? So I called everybody individually, man. So let's get it started, man. I'm gonna do a countdown. And again, for purposes of this show, I'll just lay out the ground rules that we're not really interested in what they did with Bob Dylan, the Beatles, and the Beach Boys. What I care about is everything that happened with our artists, and especially whether it's R&B, hip hop, whatever. So that's what we're gonna be keying on. So to begin, coming in at number 10 was the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. So we'll talk about that in a second. Number 8 had Purple Rain with Prince that they jumped up. I don't know. I think it was like in the 70s on the original list back in 2003 and 2012. They jumped it up into the top 10. Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, which was sitting at number 6, is now number 1. Stevie Wonder is sitting in the 4th spot now with Songs in the Key of Life. And so let's just talk a little bit about this. I'm going to start off with Max, and then at some point you guys can just jump in. But remember, we're not going to talk a step on each other. I just want to make sure that you don't have to wait for me like we in school or go you, and you. So at number 12, of course, is Michael Jackson's Thriller. And at number 13 is Aretha Franklin's I Never Loved a Man, which gave us respect and launched her career at Atlantic. Fair or not fair, I think Lauryn Hill is way too high. Anybody?
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. Come on now. I mean, I like Lauryn Hill. It was a great album, great tour. I don't know what's happened ever since then, but yeah, it's a little too high. And how is Michael Jackson not number 1? It's the biggest selling album of all time.
Well, let me ask the question first because I know, Dave, you're up next. Are we talking, because to me, and my analogy is that when we talk about this a lot of times, it's like movies, right? So in movies, Jurassic Park might sell 2 billion tickets, but we all know as film critics that Jurassic Park is not a great movie, it's a crowd pleaser. So are we looking at music or thinking about these albums much in the same vein that it's the difference between commercial success and critical success and where those two meet?
Go ahead, Dave.
I think that work is a piece of art, and Lauryn Hill had one album, basically. I mean, she's put out, 2 or 3 albums, maybe.
No, one.
Just one album. That one album, the way it was synchronized and laid out. It was a perfect album. It was a very, very good album. Michael Jackson's Thriller, lots of hits on that. You know, there was so many hits on that album. But like Tim, like you said, there's that commercial success or critical or whatever. There's two different kinds of successes.
Right.
If you're talking about money being made, yeah, Michael Jackson's number one. But if you're talking about a piece of art, which I believe music is, to me, Michael Jackson was a great album. But just like with Stevie Wonder, you said it wasn't Intervisions.
Right. The Songs of the Key of Life.
To me, Intervisions was such a better album than
Right.
Songs of the Key of Life.
Exactly.
So Max,
Not-
but let me just lay this out. So Dave just hit on something, right? When we talk about commercial versus critical respect, not respect, that's not the right word, but I think the greater point I want
Critical acclaim.
Acclaim, thank you. The issue that I want to lay out is that when I look at this list, right, you got Michael Jackson with Thriller at 12, you got Prince with Purple Rain at 8, and then you start thinking about Stevie Wonder with Songs and Key of Life at 4. I can make an argument that Intervisions as an album is better than, and not better than the double album, but it's an album, right? I can make an argument that that's Stevie Wonder's best album. I can make an argument that's either 1999, Dirty Mind, even a double album like Sign of the Times might be more impactful. Well, not more impactful than Purple Rain, but critically better than Purple Rain. And you can definitely make an argument for Michael Jackson that Off the Wall might be the stronger album, even though Thriller sold the most. Max?
Yeah, I agree that Off the Wall is probably a better album in terms of art, in terms of quality album. But Thriller, it's Thriller. I mean, it's Thriller. And I mean, that album changed everything. It changed video, it changed MTV, it changed concert, it changed the music business, it changed everything. I mean, they just don't want to give Michael Jackson his props.
They won't even put the brother in the top 10, man. Come on.
Right,
man.
come on now. Come on, son.
No, wait a minute.
I've not heard of Thriller. I mean, there's songs, albums in this top 10 that I'm sure when I said to people, well, this is in the top 10, they're like, I never even heard of that person or that album.
Right.
So wait a minute. Let me ask Julian this, man. So I'm assuming to everybody on the phone that are we classifying Lauryn Hill's The Miseducation as a hip hop album, or is that R&B? I'm just curious. Anybody?
That's a hip hop album.
So that's a hip hop album. So
Really? No.
well, I'm
It's
just
too many.
asking.
It has too many bars on it.
Well, see, so this brings me to an interesting question for Julian. I've had the conversation with Dave, and I remember several years ago we talked about Nas and Illmatic, right? I think it was during the 20th anniversary, and how well regarded and critically acclaimed that album is. And it is the 9th best hip hop album on this list. There are 8 albums that Rolling Stones voters thought were better than Nas's Illmatic, including Kanye West, My Dark Twisted Fantasy. I love Public Enemy, It Takes a Nation of Millions, but come on, really? Word. So Julian, what you got, man? For
Yeah. What, me?
Yes, you, bro.
So
you are
yeah.
hip-hop.
No. I get you. It's just some of the albums that they did pick. It starts to make sense because, like, okay, Public Enemy becomes a protest album at a certain point. Like,
Are you talking about the timing of now?
not even just now. There's a certain thing when you really look at what they're talking about, and like, is Nas nice at 20 years old? Is he spitting great rhymes? He talking about Queens? These are facts. Yo, Chuck D is a grown adult man. He is talking about issues in the community, what Black people face in America. All that stuff is in the Take a Nation of Millions. And then that connects to Kendrick Lamar's album, in which Kendrick Lamar and Pharrell made a new Negro spiritual. Kids sing all right when they're marching against police brutality.
So should Kendrick Lamar's album be up higher than Illmatic?
It is.
It is.
But
It's deserving.
He's asking you should it.
Yeah,
I don't think it should, but
it's like, I get it. Like, I understand Illmatic's importance, but To Pimp a Butterfly is special. The way he's moving in with he's taking like a little bit of like the jazz era from Native Tongues and Gang Starr. he was influenced by D'Angelo's Black Messiah. Like he put some of that in there. He got some of the same people who worked on that, put that in there.
But what
He got
about all the classic producers that were on Illmatic?
Yo, there's some new classics. Like he got Pharrell on there, man. Like yo,
One.
Neptune.
One. Who
Now,
did
you know what? I don't.
Illmatic have on there?
It had Q-Tip. It had
Q-Tip, DJ Premier,
Primo.
Large Professor. I mean, he had the best producers in New York. And that album, along with Wu-Tang's album that came out like several months earlier, and Biggie's album, were the three albums that brought New York back in the early 1990s, man. So to me, I get you and I understand, but there is an importance. It's the same, and I'll go back to Dave and Max. It's the same thing when I look at how people are sleeping on Aretha Franklin and what 1967 meant for her when she first went to Atlantic and rattled off like hit after hit after hit. And so, I mean, you disrespected. I mean, how you gonna put Lauryn Hill over Aretha Franklin?
You can't do that. And I think that you get caught up in the times. You know, I mean, whoever wrote the article, I'm not sure, but they probably are caught up in the times that we're living in now.
Yeah, who was the panel? What were the criteria?
They had, well, I guess the criteria part we don't know, but basically it was almost as if like, Dave, you've been a voter with our Black Real Awards, and you as Charles as well, that you have a body of people, and they had a body of music. They had artists, they had producers, they had music execs. What they didn't have, ironically, were radio programmers, because you guys should have had some say-so in a list like that if you're talking about something all time and something over time. I think that's the key.
They didn't call me.
That's true that we should have been, but then too, in our fraternity, we have a lot of people who are caught up in, you know, the timeliness of everything too, that don't do their history, that don't know, don't go back into the archives. So
right.
Yeah.
I think Aretha needs to be a little further up. I mean, I don't think when who's on this thing?
Yeah, I'm looking now, man. So,
I don't think when Lauryn Hill passes, I don't believe CNN and all the major networks are going to shut down their programming for a 4-hour funeral.
No.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
She didn't do enough work. I guess that's my issue. It's like, yeah, she got one good album at an MTV Unplugged that nobody liked when it came out.
She had an album that won 5 Grammys. It was nominated for 10 Grammys.
It was a great album.
It was a great album, man. But again, I think I look at this in music, and again, I see to you guys because, Dave and I have had many of battles over the years where I try to come to Dave with stuff, and Dave has always been right. So I'm like, okay, he's always right. I'm like, Dave, that ain't no hit. Oh, it's a hit. Never mind. But I will I'll give you credit, Dave, for one thing that you told me that I never forgot, and I use it today when I help judge and critique artists. And I remember you were the one to explain to me about every artist has a 10-year window.
Right.
And you have to judge an artist. So when I think about that 10-year window, Stevie Wonder to me is probably the greatest of the great, because I think he had, and your 10-year window, you talked about how many classic albums at their best would an artist produce. Michael Jackson had 3, Prince had 3 inside of a 10-year window. Stevie Wonder had 6. So if you're counting songs, Hotter Than July, Intervisions, Fulfilling the First Finale, I mean, Talking Book, Music in My Mind, Stevie Wonder is the equal of what the Beatles were. And the Beatles had Lennon and McCartney, and they had the same exact 6 classic albums with 2 of the greatest pop songwriters of what Stevie did by himself. So I give you credit for that, Dave. And I think about this list, like if we were talking Lauryn Hill, her inclusion on this list at number 10, and I don't want to make a big deal about Lauryn because there's a bunch of other oversights on this list. She had 1 album.
Well, it's the same as one-hit wonders. I mean, You Can Ring My Bell, Nita Ward, that was a one-hit wonder. I mean, 1 album wonder. She was a 1 album wonder. I mean, she had her stuff with the Fugees, but is that her as a solo artist? No.
And I don't think we should discount her just because she had only one album. An album can be great if it's singular. So I mean, and this is the case where it is a singular album. It's a great album, but I don't know if it's as great as they made it out to be.
It's number 10. I think that's the issue. It's like, yeah, like
Right.
you have it's over Thriller and
Aretha Franklin.
and a couple of Aretha Franklin albums that like deserves to be in number 10. Like that is like that's like yo, Thriller won 8 Grammys. Like, it got like one song that you could kind of debate. Aretha Franklin got, I don't even understand the level of hits Aretha Franklin got. Like
All the major networks shut down their programming for a 5-hour funeral.
Yeah.
So, okay, so here's another one, man. I mean, I'm looking through I'm scrolling down the top 100 right now. And, you know, again, when it gets to hip hop, man, like I said, I understand that all of this stuff is subjective and I think there's some timing issues. But let's talk about jazz for a minute. On the original 2 list back in 2003 and then once again in 2012, Miles Davis was sitting in number 12, right? They dropped Miles Davis down to number 31. John Coltrane's A Love Supreme is at number 66.
oh, that's crazy.
Those 2 albums. I mean,
Which one? Wait a minute. Which Miles Davis is it? Kind of Blue.
Kind of Blue. Kind of Blue is critically the greatest jazz album. I mean, Max, this is your. Am I wrong?
It's not only the biggest selling jazz album of all time, not only the biggest selling jazz album of all time,
Critically
all
acclaimed.
time.
I mean,
But
Finish.
there is a House resolution in Congress for this album,
Wow.
Kind of Blue.
designating this album as an American treasure. It's HR 57.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man. So, Dave, my point, man, is that, you know, I understand that you wanted to shake the list up, man, but Kind of Blue at 31 is way too low. And that's the first jazz album on the list. So there's 30 songs in other genres even before we get to jazz.
That's too much. It's too much. Too many. Like D'Angelo's Voodoo is above that. I love Voodoo. I know what that was when it came out. Man,
But
I'm
Voodoo-
young and I know what Kind of Blue is. Like,
Yeah.
come on,
Yeah,
I
you
love
was
my
about to
R&B.
use a curse word, man. Don't do
They
it.
bugging. Like, Lemonade is 32.
Yeah,
Lemonade
right.
is not even Beyonce's best album.
Mm-mm.
Hey, man. Well,
No.
Beyonce, in all transparency, was one of the voters. So I'm not saying you voted for your own stuff, but come on, man.
She
Y'all-
should, but
killing
me.
still.
You killing me right now, man. Dave is
They got-
stunned. Like, look at Dave. Like, yes, Dave.
They have Marvin Gaye's "Hear My Dear" on this list.
That was not a good album. That was not a good album.
It should be number 514.
That was a throwaway album he did for his one of his divorce settlements.
Right,
Okay,
exactly.
Let me stand up for Brother Marvin, man. Yes, it's not a great album, but it has a great backstory and importance. But okay, Max.
But that's not what that's not what they said. They said the 500 greatest albums.
Thank you. And I think that's part of what we're seeing here, of how Marvin Gaye moved from number 6 or whatever up to number 1. They're reading more into the album than what the album is.
Well, I see what they did
Well,
with
first of
Marvin
all,
Gaye's.
man, come on,
What's
man.
going on?
What's going
That's-
on?
that's-
Go ahead,
that's-
Max.
That's now.
Right.
They're trying to make a statement with that.
Right.
That's what that is. But "Hear My Dear," I don't know what statement that would be.
Uh,
I don't have the list in front of me. Where is Earth, Wind, and Fire's?
That's the way of the world.
Yes.
Good question. I'm scanning down. I don't see
I'm
it yet.
still scrolling.
I
I'm
don't
at
even
490.
think. I don't know if there's hardly any Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Wow.
Hey,
I haven't seen it.
Mhm.
I'm not
Like I
saying it's
said,
not
Dave,
there.
if I find it, I'll let you know, man. I don't know,
I'm gonna
brother.
keep scrolling. I'm scroll on my phone. See if I get might be faster.
Like-
So, you know, I'm feeling some kind of way about A Love Supreme, which everybody on this phone has heard that album, man. I try to listen to it at least once a month, man. You know, people talk about, you know, you burning sage to clear your house out. I play A Love Supreme to clear my head out, man. I'm like,
Yes.
brother,
It's a great album, no doubt.
Well, there's 65 albums better than it according to this list. Miles Davis, Bitches Brew, finished number 87.
Oh, this list is crazy. I was bugging when I was reading this last night.
So any other oversights that anybody saw from at any point, it doesn't have to necessarily be in the top 100, because I can find stuff all day that I think is way too low. And I think Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life, and I agree, I think it's a great album. I think As is to me is the signature song on that album. You got Sir Duke and I Wish and all those other songs. I like Saturn. I'm kind of a B-side guy. I don't necessarily like the songs that everybody else likes. I always try to find small little gems, but I don't know if I would have put Songs at number 4. I'm maybe it's just me. Maybe now Intervisions, we can have a conversation about putting that in the top 10, but I know I'm gonna get some pushback because I know people love Songs in the Key of Life. I know they do, but for me, I'm just like.
This list has Frank Ocean's Blonde at 79. I've only listened to that album twice, and I like Frank Ocean. He is a good recent artist. Drake is at 95. There's classic hip hop albums that he's somehow higher than, and he has no classic albums.
No.
Drake he is close, but no cigar. I think his album is over some of the Ghostface and Jizzes and a whole bunch of like the Fugees. It's like, how do you? I like Take Care, but come on, like Taylor Swift's like we're not talking about it, but like it's some of the decisions in the movement and Erykah Badu Baduism. I love it. It ain't top 100. It's not.
Well,
I see. I kind of think that might be top 100. I can see that. Because that changed the movement. That changed a whole lot.
It may be top 100 if it's all black albums, but when you throw in all these other rock albums,
jazz and R&B and like D'Angelo's Brown Sugar actually changed things in terms of R&B sound to me, like that, and then Urban Hang Suite by Maxwell.
Urban Hang Suite. Maxwell really is the one that ushered in that movement, didn't it?
Like that like 95, like my dudes didn't come out to 97, so I'm sitting here like, why are those albums so further down the list? Or I don't even know if Urban Hang Suite is even on the list.
See, to me, that all was like in that same window. You had Brown Sugar, whatever that album was called. You had
it's called Brown Sugar.
It's Brown Sugar.
Okay, Maxwell Hang Suite. You had Baduism. Those all, and India.Arie had something out too at the probably her first album.
Mm-hmm.
All those came out within a kind of a window. I remember that's like when I first arrived in DC, and there was like them, and there was one other artist that was part of that movement.
Jill Scott,
yeah. Who is Jill Scott? Where did that come in?
So Dan, let me help you with one. Brown Sugar from D'Angelo came in at number 183.
Oh,
now Baduism came in at 90. What was it, Baduism?
It's like 80 something.
So I'm trying to figure out
89.
I'm not.
See, Brown Sugar to me was D'Angelo's best album. To me,
And that's my point. That's what we were talking about earlier about how sometimes they may have the right artist, but I don't think they have the right album. So for instance, I'm scrolling through the 200 to 101 list. Kendrick Lamar's Damn, which came out in 2017, is at 175.
And it won a Pulitzer.
Say that again?
And it won a Pulitzer.
Yeah, and that's at 175.
Where's Herbie Hancock's Chameleon?
Haven't seen it.
I haven't gotten into the 500 to 401 list yet because I'm sure it's sitting there somewhere.
Didn't he win Album of the Year for that?
He probably did, but you got to remember that the voters now are much younger. If
Herbie was one of the voters.
Herbie was a voter, but Herbie doesn't have a large movement like the Beehive. And if you're a Beehive fan, I'm not throwing shade. I'm just stating the fact.
They had Rufus and Shaka Khan.
At $4.99.
At $4.99.
$4.99, yeah. So.
So I'm
absurd.
still scrolling down in the between 200s and 101, and yeah, man,
I've
it's
never
bad.
heard of some of this stuff. Boys to Men.
Now stop it. You've heard of all. You guys have heard this music. It's not music that we
No.
may
So they
follow.
have Boys to Men too. That's down in the 400s, right?
Yeah, almost close to 5. Like,
And then wasn't that one of the had some of the biggest hits, the longest selling?
yeah,
hit or something?
and the song that was
Oh, yeah,
the
End of the
most
Road.
weeks, the longest weeks on the board on the Billboard chart.
End of the Road, the biggest
Yeah.
selling single of all time.
I just want to also point out that at 158 is Erykah Badu's Mama Gun, which is over Sade's Diamond Life, which is sitting at 200.
Good God Almighty.
Yeah, I almost threw something.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm just saying, man. I mean, I thought it was me when I read this list. I was like, what in Hades is going on?
I missed this indestructible beat of Soweto. I don't know how that got by me. I just don't understand that.
What is that? Who is that?
Right, exactly.
I have another breaking one. The largest selling gospel album in music history, and probably the greatest recording of her career. I'm talking about vocal wise, was "Amazing Grace" by Aretha Franklin.
Right.
154.
No respect. Man.
There's probably no gospel in here other than that.
Jay, literally no respect. Wow. So I'm just going down.
Is there any Otis Redding on this thing?
I think so. Like,
I
deep,
think Otis might have something in the top 100. I can't tell you for sure. I'm scrolling now. I'm going to 300 to 201 and seeing some other stuff that's way too low.
How are you gonna put Muddy Waters at 483? Isn't all rock and roll Muddy Waters?
Yep.
Well, all rock and roll is Muddy Waters if you're of age and you understand that, and you're not Julian.
Hey, they made a movie about him. Jeffrey White played him. So they don't get an excuse for that either.
Julian, I apologize. I was taking the shot, man, because you're the youngest.
I know.
What
I
about
take
the
it.
champ though?
No, Julian knows music. Julian and I have talked enough music, man, but you know.
They got too much reggaeton on this list. And like, I don't want to diss reggaeton, but that genre is 15 years old. It just started to find itself within the last 5 years.
I'm looking at the voters, and Ella May is a girl. Is one of my girls. She's me and her are real cool. But why is she a voter? She just came out.
Yeah.
She shouldn't be a voter. I mean, I love you, Elle, but you shouldn't be a voter. You know,
Wait,
I
hold on a
can
second.
see her.
Ella May
Hers
just
a
called
voter.
in. She's in the waiting room. Should I bring?
How is SZA on here?
She's not that high. At least I give him that. At least she's
Well,
not
why
that
is she
high.
even on the list?
I don't know.
Of all time?
I don't know. I'm saying there's not even enough Mariah Carey, and Mariah Carey got some joints.
But Juvenile's on here. Juvie's on here.
He do got some bangers. I was like,
Let's see. I just saw Curtis Mayfield at 277 or 275 with Curtis.
Wait a minute. Hold up. They got the. Now I'm gonna get off the for a little second. They got the Rolling Stones. Some girls at 468.
they got too many
No,
Rolling Stones albums on
let
here.
me tell you something that I found to be interesting.
That was a great album.
I was gonna say on the first two versions of this list, the number one album was Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, both in 2003 and in 2012. It is at number 24. They dropped that album 23 spots, and it had been number one 2 times on this list, and it dropped that many spots.
That's the
And
vote.
it fell out the top 20.
I'm telling you guys, you got to look at the voters.
That's the voters, definitely. Because you got the Isley. How you gonna have the Isley brothers way down here at 464?
Tara Whack is a voter.
Who?
Tierra Whack.
Who is
Tierra
this?
Whack.
She's a rapper.
Who?
She does very creative songs. Tierra
Oh,
Whack.
okay.
Sweetie or whatever her name is.
Sweetie. Yeah.
Sweetie, she's a voter.
Why? How did?
Who?
She's a young artist from the Bay Area. She's in a relationship with Quavo. She got some new little hits out there. She got some little joints, but
But why is she a voter?
I don't know.
Because she's got a relationship with Quavo, probably.
I mean, they have some people on here that have some weight, like Rex Rideout. They have Questlove. They have some guys, James Poyser, who have some weight. But what number is it?
This
10.
is This is Max was asking
That's
about Herbie
familiar.
Hancock. This
Yeah.
is Headhunters.
Oh, Headhunter. What?
254.
Yeah.
Way too low.
Al Green is 456.
I'm sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to do that, man. I was just holding up. I'm scrolling through looking for.
No. I'm just looking at the voters. I'm looking at the voters and the people I'm going to call up after we get off the phone and ask them.
Right.
Why?
What?
Like Billie Eilish is 19.
Who?
Have we seen Earth, Wind, and Fire yet?
No, I'm still looking. I've been through. Sade Love Deluxe is at 247.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, man.
Her is on here. Her is one of the judges.
Yeah, she's one of the judges. I can see her. She has a musical.
Yeah.
She has some musical history.
We're looking for Earth, Wind, and Fire right now, man.
I'm still in the 400s.
I'm between 300 and 201 right now.
You guys are gonna be looking for a while.
I don't think it's on there. Like I don't think it.
Uh-oh. Here we go, Max.
You got him?
One of the two albums that I've heard, and Dave, you may have heard this too, that are the greatest live R&B albums ever. One was James Brown at the Apollo in 1963, and the other one is Sam Cooke live at the Harlem Square in 1963. I was telling you about this a couple of days ago. They got that album at number 240.
Where's Frankie Beverly and Maze live?
Nowhere.
Frankie and Beverly Maze live. That was 506.
Where's Frankie Beverly? Where's Frankie Beverly anything?
Frankie Beverly is not on this list one time. I guarantee you. Frankie Beverly and Maze is only known for the most part to black people. I mean, I had
Here in DC.
somebody. Huh? And who? Charles?
In DC.
Oh,
I said
here
in DC.
Yeah, man. He said Frankie Beverly and Maze. He's 501.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man. So needless to say, gentlemen, I'm just saying that I think that we will agree that at some point there should be a list, and I would like to see one with, BK Kirkland and some radio heads, folks like y'all who would put a list together. That would be an interesting list to see.
Yeah, we should do our own list.
You should do your own list.
Yeah, BK goes way back.
Yeah,
way back.
So,
way back.
Why you saying it about BK? Like BK is just ancient.
Because no, he just has some history. He's the elder statesman.
BK
got a lot of
is somebody
history.
I listened to as a kid that I actually got to work with at at Magic back in the day, and I was like, dude, you BK Kirkland, dog. Damn.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He's the OG.
He over there.
BK
Him
was-
and Dave are neighbors over there in Sirius.
Yeah, BK was programming when he had a mustache that was
big
like
mustache?
this thick. Yeah.
He was at BLS.
BK was on the same staff with Frankie Crocker in the late 70s.
Right.
At BLS.
Yeah, he was at BLS in the
bruh.
heyday.
Frankie
Yeah.
Crocker and Jerry Bledsoe.
Right.
Oh my God, Jerry
That was like-
Bledsoe.
That was the
Yeah.
classic station back in the day. Made me want to get into radio.
So I say all that to say, man, that I think that we have a general consensus that really nobody is happy. So is there anything on this list that anybody is happy with? I guess that's the better question.
Still looking.
I like where Sergeant Pepper's Yellow Submarine is.
Where is it?
I don't know. I'm just-
Oh, watch this, shots fired.
Oh yeah, Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's the way of the world is 420.
420.
Come on.
420.
Wait, hold on a second.
Come on.
That's the way of the world is 420.
Dang, go on.
That's disrespectful.
Think of this, it's like I've listened to like maybe around 350 of these albums, like the rock and the alternative and the reggaeton, and like so I'm sitting here bugging like, yo, some of these new people got a pretty high.
They
Like,
they have Jay-Z at 67.
he's at 52.
He's also twice on there.
Yeah, he's on
What's
there
the-
a couple times.
What's the highest James Brown album?
Good question. Somebody can start in the hundreds. If James ain't in the 100s, man, that's disrespectful.
They got him live at the Apollo. What was
What
that?
number?
You told me that he was on there. I don't know.
There's a couple of James Brown.
James
albums.
Brown's is number 65 live at the Apollo.
So what do you think about so again, Sam Cooke's Live at Harlem Square is 200 spots behind James Brown. So what I'm not understanding, and I think again, when you're putting lists together, maybe this doesn't register at all. You guys talked earlier about Erykah Badu, Maxwell, and D'Angelo kind of being in the same window. Erykah Badu, of course, got much more acclaim because they had Brown Sugar like almost 100 spots behind Baduism. So I don't see that because I think those are all interconnected. So I don't know.
Erykah's got albums and perfume, so you know that might have something to do with it.
But you gotta think D'Angelo is also number 28. So like
28.
All three of D'Angelo's albums are on this list and within the top 100 or so.
You said 20. Did you say 28?
Voodoo.
Voodoo is 28.
28.
Wow.
Of the 500
Yeah.
best albums of all time.
Voodoo.
Voodoo a banger, but I wouldn't put it that high up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I get the Voodoo part.
That was not his best album.
No, I do. They got Steely Dan on here.
And they should.
Yeah, but it's at 63.
High or low?
Oh, yeah, it's probably in the. I don't know about. I don't know where
people really rock with them.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Black Radio used to play Steely Dan.
Yeah, I like Steely Dan.
Man, Al Green's greatest hit sitting at 456.
Right? How is that possible?
That's Al Green, baby.
They got Talking Book is 59. Stevie Wonder.
Intervisions finished what, 40 and some change?
Yeah, 43 or 42 or 43.
So you telling me that Songs in the Key of Life is 4, 43, and then 59. I'm still mad at Aretha Franklin. I think she's too low. I think Aretha Franklin is a top 10. She has top 10 albums. I don't care what you tell me. You can't tell me that Lauryn Hill has a top 10 album all time. Aretha Franklin, yes. Michael Jackson, yes. Michael Jackson, one of those albums should be a top 10 album. Off the Wall or Thriller is a top 10 album.
Here's the top 9 selling albums of all time. Michael Jackson, Thriller, AC/DC, Back in Black, Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell,
Bang.
Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon,
Bang.
Whitney Houston, Bodyguard,
Bang.
Eagles' Greatest Hits.
Banger. Yeah, that was a huge album.
Bee Gees, Saturday Night Fever.
Anger.
Fleetwood Mac, Rumors, and Shania Twain. Come on over.
Oh, come
I
on
don't even
over.
think Shania Twain is on this list, Harley.
Oh, she's on the list. She's in the 400s, man. I
Well,
saw
out of
that one
all
already. I
those-
think she's like 480.
I didn't even like country music and I listened to Shania Twain.
Out of all those you listed, Max, I think the only one that's in the top 10 is Fleetwood Mac.
Rumors, yeah.
Rumors.
Yeah.
And Dave and Max, I understand.
And
that
I mean, we're talking about
heads, man.
50,
Y'all
60
listen
million
to some of this
albums.
pop, man. Don't act like y'all don't listen to some of this pop.
Oh, I listen to a lot of pop.
I like all of this stuff. All of those songs, all of that stuff in the top 10, except for maybe Whitney Houston.
I don't even think the Bodyguard is on this list.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy,
That's
man.
nuts.
That's
45 million.
crazy.
There's not enough Whitney Houston on this list. It's more like one album, Whitney Houston.
All right, fellas. So we got about
45
maybe 10 minutes left, man. So I'm going to go around. So Marvin Gaye, we all know, is sitting at number 1 with what's going on. Max, I know what you feel about this. I think personally, for me, when I listen to what's going on, because I know it just celebrated its 49th anniversary within the last month or two. I listen to that as an entire album. I never think about it as just a set of singles. And I think what resonates to me about that album today is that it's forever timely, right? So I can play it now. And when he starts talking about, hey, baby, what you know good, I mean, I feel him, his soul, flying high in the friendly skies, holy, holy. I feel Marvin Gaye. So to me, that album never ages. It never gets old. Is it the greatest album ever? I don't know. I mean,
It's a great album. It's a classic. It's a piece of art, as Dave mentioned at the beginning. And I can see why they made it number one, because of where we are in the world today.
What would be number one to you? And I'm going to ask you first and then go around. What would be, if you had a vote, what would you put at the top of your list if we were talking all time, and that's no matter what the genre would be, rock, pop, jazz, hip hop?
Thriller.
Why?
Because it was a revolutionary album. It changed music forever. It changed video. It changed the music business. It changed everything.
Okay.
It changed everything. It even made rock radio had to play that record.
So you were in Chicago when Thriller came out, right?
No, I was in, what year was that? 82.
82.
I was in Toledo, Ohio.
And you banged the bejesus out of that album.
I played the album cover. We wore it.
Dave Dickinson, I know you weren't in DC in 82.
I was in Connecticut.
You in Connecticut? All right. What was number one on your list, man, if you had a vote all time?
I would keep it Marvin Gaye. Seamless album, sequenced perfectly, talks to the times. You put it on, you don't take it off until you flip it to the other side. And then when you flip it to the other side, you just let it run again. You know, not a bad song on it. You know, great songs, a few great songs, a few mediocre songs, but I would leave it at number one.
All right. Julian, what about you?
Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Come on, man. Y'all, come on.
Nah.
That album changed the whole world.
He was the most famous person on the planet. It was him, Muhammad Ali. That's it. Everyone in the world listened to this album. They couldn't even actually count how many albums were sold. Quincy Jones said it. There's probably 100 version copies of this album out there. They just stopped counting.
When that man died, the whole world stopped. There was no crime. Everything stopped. Everything stopped.
On TV too. That funeral was on TV. I watched that whole
thing. It was on TV. Yeah, it stopped. Everything stopped. Everybody was stunned.
Me and Dave are looking at y'all like this.
Yo.
I mean, it's an opinion. So I'm not mad at you, but
right.
I'm glad Dave is here. I'm like,
yo, them arrangements though. They're teaching
They're teaching a course at Clark Atlanta on the business of Michael Jackson.
Hold on a second. Let me jump in for a second. The reason why I don't know why Dave is got his thought, and I agree with him. Here's the reason why I have issues with Thriller, and it's not that having issues. I was in the Marine Corps when Thriller came out, right? And I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan, and I was leaving Japan in late 1982 when the album dropped in Japan, and it instantly went to number one. I got stationed at Camp Pendleton in California. For 2 years, I would go to parties, and this was at the peak of the video age. And I'd go to clubs like the Bitten Apple, the Red Onion, all these clubs up and down Wilshire, and they would have video screens playing Beat It on the video while we were dancing to Billie Jean. I got so sick of Michael Jackson. I was like, dude, I left California, came to DC in 85. It was still number one. I was like, is it ever going to not be number one?
When you would travel, when Michael Jackson was at his peak, when you would travel anywhere in the world, the way that people would connect to you would be Michael Jackson.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I'm just throwing shade and hating right now.
Charles Kirkland. Don't hate the king of pop.
Charles Kirkland, what's number one on your list? And if you say Thriller, I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna say this. In 2009, my wife and I, we went to Hawaii for the second time. I say that. And we were in our hotel room overlooking the beach at Honolulu at 10:15, and the beach was empty. There was no one on the beach on Honolulu on the day that they had the funeral for Michael Jackson. I honestly can say, I believe Thriller is the number one album of all time. of all time.
I'm so glad I get to go last, man. This is great. I'll just illustrate before I give you my pick. I'll just tell you a story. 1968, Al Bell approached one of his songwriters at Stax Records and said, "Hey, man, the company got sold. We have no inventory. We need everybody here to work to produce an album. We got about 30 artists here. We need y'all to produce an album." The guy he came to had put out an album a couple of years earlier, and it was a commercial flop, right? Because he didn't have total control. And he said, "Hey, if you give me total control, I'll make an album for you." The album that this guy made changed R&B music, and I'm surprised that Maxx Myrick, of all people, I'm gonna give Dave a pass, because Dave could have missed this one. How do you not say anything about Hot Buttered Soul, which I don't even know is on the list, which is an album that had 4 cuts on it? By the time I get to Phoenix, Walk On By, this album is 2 years before What's Going On. It literally changed R&B. R&B to that point was Motown era, where everybody was making 2-3 minute songs. He's making 12-minute songs with lush orchestration.
I love Live at the Sarah Tahoe.
Come on, man. Really?
But
no love for Isaac
what
Hayes,
the question
baby.
was,
That's what I would put
the number one album of all time.
I would put that on my list at number 1. If y'all want to go and overdose on Michael Jackson, come on, man.
You gonna put Hot Buttered Soul at number 1?
All right, man. What should I
Okay.
say? My press.
Okay.
What should I say? Watch this, Dave.
I mean, we all with Black Moses and everything.
Watch this. It makes as much sense as some of the stuff we've seen on this list. Why not?
That's true.
But I think I'm being funny, but I honestly do believe that Hot Buttered Soul is every time I listen to that, I'm like, man, I mean, Isaac Hayes' arrangements, man, my God. That guy was such a talented musician who did not get the credit for what he produced.
He and David Porter were like,
oh my God,
unsung.
Julian, did you just learn something there? Have you listened to Hot Buttered Soul yet?
Yeah. I told you I listened on like at least 65% of this list.
Get to Live at the Sarah Tahoe though. That live version of By the Time I Get to Phoenix.
Surprised about Maxx Myrick, man. Dave, I give a pass, but Max, come on, man.
Not number 1, homie.
Just out of curiosity, is there any Ray Charles on this list?
Yes.
That's a Ray Charles.
He's like 4 or 5 entries on the list.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Ray Charles is another one, man. I mean, so when you talk about the importance of these, Howlin' Wolf is on the list, Muddy Waters is on the list. I saw Etta James on the list. I mean, there are so many people, man, that these artists of today are standing on the shoulders of these giants.
There would not have been any rock and roll had it not been for Chess Records, Willie Dixon, and those artists, Muddy Waters, Sonny Boy Williamson, and Howlin' Wolf.
Etta James.
There would be no rock and roll. Because if they had not gone over to Europe in the 50s and turned these young white British kids on to rock and roll, there would have been no rock and roll. Even Jimi Hendrix, the guitar god, he was a blues guitarist.
Right.
He was. All right, gents, I got to wrap this up because, there's this guy named Maxx Myrick that I work for who doesn't like me to run over with these shows. Oh, hey, Max, what's up?
Hey, Tim.
But I want to thank you guys, and we probably need to do this again, man, because, but I will just say, Julian, it has been a pleasure. I think Nas is looking for you in our chat room. You didn't stand up enough for him in Illmatic. Dave Dickinson.
He can pull up.
Whatever, man. Yeah, okay, he can pull up. The last person that said he could pull up was Tupac, and then Snoop was like, man, he could have got us killed out in that park. Dave Dickinson. You still doing, is it Sunday Mimosas?
Sunday Mimosa every Sunday on Sirius XM Channel 48, Heart and Soul.
All right. And Maxx Myrick, I think your enterprise just celebrated its 3rd anniversary.
DC Radio.
DC Radio?
Yeah, DC Radio, not 96.3 HD4, DCRadio.gov.
And I would be remiss.
And we had a great show on
Watch this. I would be remiss in
Called
saying
keeping it real.
the fact that that three of us have ties to WHUR, the Heritage Station that's going to turn 50 next year. I heard we all getting invited to the party. Julian and Charles, I'm sorry y'all can't make it. Charles, you know we do this every
Don't say
week. Man.
can't.
No, Charles knows these just jokes, man. You know, hey, bro, you know, I've lived a life, man. That's all I can tell you. Julian, can you back up off the screen, lower your chair, do something? Your head is cut off, pimpin'. Stop it. And until next week, as we tell you guys in closing, man, please, well, normally we say please see something good at the movies, but since we talking about music, you got 500 options on this list. We've mentioned some stuff that didn't make the list. You be the judge. Until next time, I want to thank this panel. You guys were absolutely great and fantastic today. Until next time, man, I'll see you brothers, man. Peace and enjoy your weekend.
Peace.
All right, man.
Take care.